name is Gian Mueller. I'm from Switzerland and I am about to complete the Executive MBA at HEC Paris. I worked in luxury hotels for 15 years and I've always enjoyed learning new things. And it's been my dream to go back to school. I think especially in a world that is evolving very quickly, it's important to keep your knowledge up to date. So last year I felt that the time was right, so I applied for this wonderful program. I think also apart from the learning, I felt that after 15 years it was important to kind of press pause for my life and my career and to maybe look at myself from a different perspective, understand the perceptions I hold, and maybe also review the priorities that I set for my life and also my career. And this Executive MBA program has been very helpful with that. And I think lastly, I wanted to meet people outside my industry, to maybe find a group of peers with whom I can share challenges, with whom I can share successes. And actually during my studies, I found exactly that. So we were kind of a group or a cohort of 40 students who all helped each other in kind of different challenging situations in our lives and careers. This leadership model has been really great because at HEC Paris, it's kind of like the red thread running through the program. What I particularly enjoyed is that you can go there, you learn new content about leadership, then you return to work. You can experiment with the theory, you can try the things that the professors told you about. Some things may work, some things may not work, or you may not have understood them completely. But then because the modules kind of reappear throughout the curriculum, you always have the chance to write down your questions or maybe specific situations that you were facing and to kind of get a better understanding and clarify those. But I think this combination of theory and then putting it into practice has been extremely useful for myself. The curriculum also includes numerous self-assessments to better understand ourselves and our personality styles. And this has also helped me to maybe understand why I have certain values or certain ways of doing things. What I also found extremely helpful is that most of the fellow students, actually we found ourselves in kind of the same situation in our professional lives, even though we were from completely different industries. But I think all of us were kind of in this turbulence zone between managerial roles and senior executive roles. And I felt that the course content was really spot on to help us cope with these challenges and kind of get ready for the next level. Yeah, I chose the weekend module for two reasons. First, because I work in an industry with a very strong seasonal pattern. That means our summers and winters are busiest, and actually the core of the modules at HEC Paris in this intake fell in between those seasons. So that really helped me to also keep the workload in balance. And then I think the second reason for me is that I consider Paris one of the most inspiring cities in the world, and the weekend module, the classes take place in Paris. So I absolutely wanted to use this opportunity and also spend some more time in my favorite city. I've been working in the luxury industry my entire career, but I've never really taken the time to study the theory behind the industry. So one of the reasons was that I wanted to better understand what actually drives the industry and the business that I'm in. And I think HEC Paris there has a very strong reputation for being close to the luxury sector. And professors such as Anne Michaud, Gashusha Kretz, Frank Asenka, and also Jean-Noël Kapfer, they they provided us with amazing insights about our industry that allowed me to now actually better understand why certain things are the way they are. So I think everything makes much more sense for me now. I think that was one motivation. Then I also wanted to get insights into related sectors of luxury hospitality and get new ideas, maybe exchange with professionals that are working in these sectors. And there I was amazed. There I was amazed what kind of doors HEC Paris can open. So we got, for example, a full tour of the Tiffany flagship boutique on Fifth Avenue. We had the chance to visit a silk production site in Lake Como that produces for some of the most renowned fashion brands. And we also had talks by, for example, a restaurateur that is running a 3-star Michelin restaurant in New York. So there was a lot of exchange, maybe from different industries, but still you could kind of relate many things to your own work. And I think lastly, I also wanted to make connections and to meet new people and again to maybe help me test some of the assumptions I have and get a different perspective. I was always intrigued by this subject, and I thought that this specialization could give me a kind of a long-term career perspective. And I think board governance is something that in the real life, it happens mostly behind closed doors. So I saw this module as a unique opportunity actually to get an insight into the world of boardrooms. And I was particularly convinced by the program created by HEC Paris, which included one module in Europe and one module in the US, so that students could get an insight or could kind of see both perspectives. I think what I really enjoyed there is that we had leading professors in the field, kind of again feeding us the theory, but we also had a lot of current or former board members, many of them alumni from HEC Paris, that shared real life cases and insights into how they actually worked on boards. And I think this was something that is priceless because it's content that you cannot get access to publicly. So I think there I really benefited from this access to our guest speakers. And I think as much as I learned about board governance, I also learned about leadership, because many of these guest speakers, they held senior leadership roles in companies. I think a lot of it has to do with like exposing students to a diversity of thoughts, so to understand different perspectives. And actually for both the luxury and the board governance module, we got one European perspective and then one US perspective. And so thereby covering kind of the two most important geographical regions for those respective topics. I think it was also great to visit some of these leading institutions and then see how maybe the style of teaching differs or how they approach problems or challenges in a different way, what different kinds of theory they chose to address the topic. And I think lastly was also a great opportunity to travel, to discover some new places, but then also to meet students from all the cohorts at HEC Paris, because for these specializations, all the intakes get kind of grouped according to their choices. And so we had a really great time also networking and exchanging ideas and thoughts with different students that normally are not part of the cohort. We visited Frankfurt, actually, where we had we were in a meeting room, and then we had a lot of professors and guest speakers visiting us there. We also visited Bocconi University in Milan, which is one of the, I think, the best universities in Europe. And in the US, we attended 1 week of courses at NYU Stern and also 1 week at the Wharton School. I think it was a really great addition to the already excellent curriculum by HEC Paris. I really enjoy being in university settings and visiting institutions that have the same commitment to excellence like HEC Paris, such as the schools I mentioned before. It was a real privilege. And so if you're there and you sit in the class and you get to listen to these amazing professors or guest speakers, yeah, you realize what a privilege it is to have this education and how, I think also how quickly you change and you adapt your thoughts, maybe just from getting access to somebody with a different perspective. I think at the beginning of this EMBA program, everybody always told us, yeah, it will change you, it will transform you completely. And I, at the time, didn't really understand what they meant. But I think already after 1 week at HEC Paris, I realized that the transformation is happening. And by visiting these universities, I felt that it accelerated even further just because of these different perspectives. I think since my work involves mainly working with other people, being colleagues or guests, for sure it's leadership that has helped me a lot. Then I also enjoy strategy, and I think that the strategy modules, they helped me, and I could very quickly also put some of the theory in practice by working on projects for my current employer. I also very much enjoyed the sustainability module, and actually thanks to the content there, I could now found a sustainability committee here at the hotel and create a new sustainability program for our property. I think overall, the EMBA gave me a much better, like, holistic understanding of business challenges, and you become much more aware of what's happening around you. Some of our professors said, with awareness comes choice. And I think that's exactly what helps me here at work is that you suddenly understand situations, and you also, I think you get the confidence that you always have a choice, and there's always a way how you can react to a certain situation. And I think lastly, this program also gave me a lot of confidence to pursue my goals and also to carry out my work and to take decisions. I think I was fortunate to be in touch with a lot of different cultures. And one thing that this has taught me is that a lot of things are not about being right or wrong. It's just they're different, and maybe people have a different perspective. And in our cohort of 40 students, I think we had about 20 different nationalities. And obviously a lot of students held always different points of view. And my international experience helped me to understand that probably these thoughts sometimes are just related also to where people grew up, or I don't know, the values that they were exposed to in their lives. And I think you also learn to appreciate that actually the diversity makes this experience more beautiful, right? Because you get all these different perspectives, you get insights into different cultures. And since the program is focused on international business, it was also good because there is a lot of examples that kind of, I don't know, case studies or examples that professors use about companies somewhere around the world. And if you have had the chance to visit some of these regions, I think you can relate much better to the cases. And I think the cultural awareness that international work experience gives you, it was also extremely helpful for some of the group work. I think there, especially about the leadership seminar, the outdoor leadership seminar that we did, where we were divided into small groups from different cohorts. And we had to go through 2 days of crisis simulation and leadership challenges on campus of HEC Paris, but everything was taking place outdoors. Sometimes the instructors created very high pressure environments. But I think because the participants all had this cultural sensitivity. We managed to focus on the actual challenge and didn't kind of create additional friction in the group that came up because we didn't understand each other. So I think cultural awareness is really key. I think first, go for it. It's a lot of fun and it's definitely worth it. Then I also think it's like what you put in is what you get out of it, right? So if you're willing to share, if you're willing to invest time in the studies, if you do your very best with all the assignments, if you participate in class, it also makes your learning experience much better. So I think it's really about bringing whatever you have to the table to make this the best possible experience. Then I think what's very important is if you are employed, to get your employer on board, because the studies take a lot of time, and I think unless there is some sort of agreement between the employer and the student, it's really challenging to manage both at the same times. And I think also to not to neglect family and friends, and to also, I think, talk very openly with the family before you embark on this adventure, and kind of paint a realistic picture about how it's going to be like, that the student is going to be absent from the family or from work for longer periods. There will be a lot of days where you come home from work and you still need to do preparation work for the studies. So I think just to kind of align everybody's expectations and make sure that you have the necessary support to complete the module without constantly feeling pressure from either work or the family that maybe something may not be right, because then you also cannot enjoy the experience.